Good morning. This is Daniel once again, speaking to you from the Legacy of Daniel podcast. I'm on my way to work. Luckily, it's not raining out. Hopefully, it won't start. Like yesterday, it was raining pretty good. Usually, just have this time to just have conversations with myself and discuss different topics and listen to the financial news or other news that's going on. But I decided to do something a little new, bring my thoughts into a bit more structure, and then to just kind of share them. I guess this is part of my story that I'm writing, a story that we all should be taking up our part to take part in the great story of America, this great experiment. So let's strengthen one another and do our part in sowing the seeds of compromise, the seeds of unity, instead of all this division and attacking various sectors of our society. So I guess today we'll want to talk a little bit about the free markets. And the free market seems to have been something kind of created from a bunch of gurus that just had all these economic ideas from just studying and not really any participation. And then they went on to tell people how they should live their lives and how their country should be run. And that's not really, or should not be allowed to happen anymore. I think the entire concept of free markets, unless you're going to study the human behavior component of it, and what really the needs and desires of human behavior, especially as we've been drawn out on a vessel, a wooden vessel that's about to fall apart into the middle of an ocean. It's kind of what free market ideas have done, while all those with the wonderful ideas just sit back in their lofty chairs and castles and universities where they have wonderful degrees and homes, and they have their book sales and anything else they need to maintain the structure of their little lives, while we are all out participating in their failed dream. And so an economy is useless if there's no participation or little participation, and it's even more useless when there are barriers or these fallacies that are erected that keep people from truly coming to know their creative expression, which is a protected right here in the United States. And if there are barriers to this, then we have no real economy. And then what ends up happening is we have this massive push into a narrow path, such as universities, athletics, corporate world, and then the lobbying begins because there's all this pressure and not as many opportunities. So they fight to keep the masses happy and keep the entertainment going, keep the prices low. That really, no matter what cost, even if it means devaluing the dollar, and we just keep on rolling along. And then, these problems come to a cliff, and it's all these people that so-called have all these solutions to answers, solutions to these problems. They're just still sitting back in their castles on their failed dreams and lofty book sales or university pensions or whatever it may be, while the rest of us are drowning on this broken raft out in the middle of the ocean. And so it's time to kind of turn around, wipe away the ideas of the free market, because even our current administration with the tariffs, strengthening the border, is completely going counter to what some conservative libertarians would say would be best, to have an open border, the tariffs would be bad. And so the administration has done the complete and total counter, and I think we should keep up with it. Now the tariff may be a bit high, but we need a society with a strong border, strong rule of law. We need to protect our manufacturing sector, and we need to make sure that we are in control of the flow of goods in and out of the country, not just through tariffs, but also through those that control the ports, which is going to bring me into the next topic of the quasi form of free markets. It seems that a couple things that it does. This idea is that it seems to just create a tower of materialistic hedonism in an economy that's entirely spent upon spending to keep everybody happy. And when this occurs, we start developing a very unionized type of mindset, because free markets doesn't really seem to create any productivity, nor does it seem to create any path to creative expression and entrepreneurship. It just seems to be an idea based upon just numbers, really, and just the fact that the government's in the way, so it's not working because of the government. And so it's the government's fault. It isn't really a conversation starter. It's not really a solution to problems. It's really just a boot stepping on an ant at this point. It's a lot like talking about the welfare state without talking about all the subsidies that are going to professional athletes, professional sports teams in their stadiums, universities, high schools. The subsidies that's gone towards the automobile and the roads and the petrodollar. So if you're going to step on the welfare state, you need to find a real monster in the woods and start drawing your sword and taking your part in the real battle that's going on, because there are far bigger battles, far bigger enemies to the structure of our society that our founders that are attempting to interfere with our origin story. So it's time that we all Americans draw that sword of protection, draw that sword and defend our country and the great ideals that we have: life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, proposition all men are created equal. The great documents that came along with these ideas, our history, our language, our wars, our First Amendment, Second Amendment, separation of church and state, and everything else in between is something that every other country wants. And it seems that there are also people, organizations, institutions, a mindset that wants to dismantle this idea and wants to mimic it in some way without doing any work, without bringing about any form of devotion, determination, or even love for their country, honoring their country in any way. And so this is what we need to begin fighting as we are out here on this raft in this ocean, fighting this chaos of evil that is just really just a distraction and trying to scare us. So I would encourage all to do all they can to really come to know America's origin story. And one of the ways you can do that, just remembering the great and noble ideas, words that were sketched into the founding of our cornerstone, and participate daily. Go out and begin writing your own story, coming to know your country better, the citizens of this country better. Be a leader. Come with real solutions to problems, not just constantly attacking or blaming. That's petty, that's small. You're nothing but a boot stepping on an ant at that point. Find the bigger enemy, find the bigger problem, challenge it, question it, and you'll find that it's nothing more than a cowardice lion hiding behind the closet with his microphone. So let's find that beast, let's find that demon, And let's challenge it. Let's poke that one instead of challenging and dividing one another over useless and really non-issues. Corporate subsidies. I kind of touched on a little bit. They can be very dangerous, but in a free market society where there is just a tower of materialistic hedonism and not there are very little barriers of creative expression, very few outlets of creative expression that are allowed in society, then this is what you're going to have. It's just the result of really abuse is what the materialistic, hedonistic tower that we're now living in, that just wants more and more and more consumption. And so let's stop with the division that's leading to more of this tower. And if we come with compromise problem solving, the rug will be pulled right from beneath it. Let's see, what else other notes do I have here? And well, here's just a side note, just to kind of finish off maybe segue into the next topic, but creative expression is ultimately the true currency of this nation. From the Pilgrims leaving their home, coming across the pond with courage, and then stepping to the edge of really freedom, and coming to know what freedom and religion together equals. And then through that, self-governance, we need to get back onto our boats just like the Pilgrim did, and voluntarily step out to the new frontier of freedom, understanding of freedom. We have the infrastructure is laid, we have the knowledge, we have the story, the history, but it's time to now once again make that voyage. And essentially we all have to become pilgrims of the old world so that we can deliver the old and come to continue writing the story of this nation in our own, and see our nation in a new enlightened light, instead of the light of the bushel that we've all been put under. There's also the issue of religion that we have to seriously begin questioning, and this very strong anti-creative expression that it has brought to society, this very deterministic mindset of basically distracting people from, especially young people, from growing up and partaking in their nation. And so religion can be a wonderful thing, but it's only truly wonderful when it makes your life and the lives of those around you beautiful. And if it's not doing that, if it's not bringing people together, if there's no compromise, then it is not a religion, it's something else. If it's not bringing people to love their country, love their neighbor, if it's not bringing people to understand their freedom and the importance of separation of church and state, and through the idea of separation of church and state, coming to better know their freedom and their religion, then they have the wrong religion. And so on this walk, I do a lot of observations, one of the things that we can do, that we can address is, the infrastructure is already laid for much of our nation. We just need to begin utilizing it in a more efficient method. There are other forms of technology and energy that we can be using to more affordably drive this nation into a very robust and prosperous future, participatory, inclusive future. But we have to see the future. We have to see the boundary of our existence before us. We have to see it. We have to see that others are caught up in division, caught up in the lies of many lies that have come against this country. And we need to have courage to pull one another out and start coming to know our fellow American. And we do that by standing on the sacred stone, the sacred proposition that all men are created equal. This idea is not just something that was written for pleasantries. It was written to be a mighty sword and a mighty tower of defense in a time of the time that we're going through now, where there's lots of division and lots of ideas coming against this nation. So let's pick up our great and noble ideas of freedom, equality, and let's continue on this quest. Have to have my light out here just for safety, so I don't with the dark and dampness, it's not always easy to be visible. And that is also what our ideas on freedom really are. They are living. This proposition is living. Our First Amendment is living. And they are beacons in the darkness. And we must take the responsibility to hold on to these, to nurture these, strengthen them within ourselves, so that as we go out and participate in society on a daily basis, we become a stronghold in the darkness, a stronghold against the chaos, a very, very powerful citizenry that stands against all that attempts to mimic us, deceive, lie, or take advantage like many are doing. And so let's take up that quest, let's take up that challenge, and let's arm ourselves with the fullness that these great ideas on freedom and equality have done for this nation and have done for us. And I'm now entering the bridge to Camelot. We'll get a quick view here. There we are. And let's continue on our way. Gonna try to make my way to the Dunkin' Donuts as quick as I can this morning, get some breakfast, get a large cup of tea, and then be on my way to work. And I think the well has run dry for this video. And so I'm going to bring it to an end. And I just want to remind everyone to start seeking compromise, stop focusing on the small issues, and start attacking the bigger ones. Those who are actively attempting to mimic, deceive, lie, coerce, not just from the government, but quite literally from the citizenry. If your story has been stolen from you, taken from you, well, it's time to find the courage to take up that mighty sword again, that mighty pen, and begin writing it and participating. We are at the cliff that everyone is waiting for. And so why don't we push the evil and darkness off the cliff before us, and we'll just stay in our story, stay in our beautiful nation and all that it represents, and all that it can bring to bear for the world.